Welcome to the Stellaris Grand AI Tournament Galaxy 2. These are the participants. We're starting with a collection a corporate megachurch with Cthulhu-like vibes and a plantoid leader. They have permanent employment, which is, they also take the undead. Posthumous employment center. Reassigners turn consumer goods and either food or minerals into a monthly organic pop assembly. All assembled pops will have the zombie trade, a little bit less influenced by happiness. And defeated organic leviathans can sometimes be resurrected. Gospel of the masses too. Spiritualist pops give additional trade value on all planets, and branch offices can build the Temple of Prosperity, corporate building. Spiritualist ethics attraction plus whopping 50%. And they're Xenophile, so they have more trade value, 10% more, and one more available envoy. It's good for diplomacy. Also fanatic spiritualist, which will help with a new unity thing. With unity being much more important. Monthly unity 20% more. Edicts upkeep minus 20%. Edict cost also minus 20%. Really, really good. They are also, as is typical for a megacorp, thrifty. 25% more trade value from jobs. They are also wasteful. Pop consumer goods upkeep plus 10% can be made up with the right policies from thrifty. They're budding. Monthly organic pop assembly is increased by 0.02. And solitary, the housing usage is increased by 10%. Housing usage, not the biggest problem right now. Empire size is what might limit you. So this is probably a good pick, a good negative pick. The origin is here be dragons. So they're starting with a space dragon roaming the system, and they're starting on the cold tundra world. Collection, acquisition, redemption. We preach the doctrine of dragon's justice. Your debts and sins will be redeemed. We also offer worldly debt collection and easy consumer credit, diet counseling and tasty burgers, and much more. I'm really unsure how they will do in the long run. At the start, they are very good with their trade value, and if they find, with them being Xenophile, if they find a federation, they can probably build a lot of branch offices, and then they will do pretty good with permanent employment and the gospel of the masses going all spiritualist in the new patch. Then we have the fantastic Mermodian free tribes, a democratic assembly of clans with a warrior culture, replacing entertainer jobs with dualist jobs, turning alloys into unity. The dualists and amenities and naval capacity, army damage plus 20%, and as well as anglers, which is typical for aquatics and also very good. Adding some consumer goods and trade value to the food farms. They're egalitarian for more faction unity gain and specialist pop resource output. Xenophile for trade value 10%, and one more available envoy. Also cannot enslave entire species, displace aliens, and have to accept some refugees. Increased opinion for other species too, so that will help massively with diplomacy. Militarist, very good at the start. Claim influence cost goes down by 10%, ship fire rate goes up by 10%, no retreat war doctrine included. Then we have aquatic. Ocean habitability gets increased, housing usage is decreased for ocean worlds and flooded habitats. Food, energy and mineral output on ocean worlds is also increased, but they have a disadvantage on non-wet worlds. Non-wet worlds is something else than continental, tropical or ocean worlds. Their unruly empire size from pops is increased by 10%, and sedentary. Pop growth from immigration goes down 15%, resettlement cost goes up 25%. They won't usually resettle as democratics, so that's just basically the pop growth diminishing. But they have to make up for it. Rapid breeders, 10% pop growth speed, and adaptive 10% more habitability, so they can settle easily on many planets. They are starting on an ocean paradise. Since its birth, this civilization has enjoyed peace in a generous environment with no natural enemies, which is basically, it's a Gaia start, but with an ocean world, so it's perfect for aquatic. Rich food deposits, bonuses to happiness, pop growth speed and output, guaranteed habitable planets, but are instead frozen worlds, so they have to find other planets for it. From the womb of Mother Blue was born a species proud and true, strong. The Mermodian people and their hunter-gatherer society slowly rose to the top of the food chain, conquering their homeworld and eliminating or domesticating all opposing species. Those proud hunters may be dangerous, but they're looking for friends, fellow intelligent life forms to share their culture with, and to which they can share the joy of hunting. Those people and their culture may seem primitive, but they are friendly and wholesome. Very traditional and family-oriented, so they don't insult their mothers, because that's just mean, and they won't let such an insult go unpunished. So join them in friendship and the hunting, or become their enemy and be hunted. I think they're like a very balanced civilization that has, especially at the start, good bonuses with rapid breeders and anglers and aquatic. We'll see if they can do the jump to mid-game and do well there. In the end game they again have an edge due to them being aquatic and probably transforming worlds into ocean worlds. Very good lookout in the end. Then we have Paradox Incorporated. Someone created that. Living on Jordan, the continental world. And led by Sven Fredriksson. It's a megacorporation. 10% more monthly unity, empire size effect plus 25%. They have mastercrafts. So the artisans are replaced with artificers. They produce 1 more consumer goods as well as 2 trade value and 1.1 engineering research. Every 3 industrial districts grant 1 building slot, except on habitats. They're a media conglomerate. Decreases their war exhaustion gain slightly by 5%. Increases the citizen pop happiness by 5%. They're also militarist, can use no retreat war doctrine, and this helps pretty good at the start. Claim influence cost goes down by 10%, and ship fire rate goes up by 10% as well. And fanatic materialist, robot upkeep goes down by 20%, research speed goes up by 10%. They can use academic privilege, which is a very good living standard. Cannot use AI outlawed and cannot use robotic workers outlawed. They're mechanists, so they will sooner or later give the AI civil rights or get a terrible AI uprising. They're led by the Swedes, which are intelligent, more research output, thrifty, 25% more trade value from jobs, and unruly, 10% more empire size from pops. Originally a developer of strategy games, the company eventually succeeded at making a genuinely good strategic AI by training it in a series of AI tournaments. Once that was accomplished, they used it to seize control of their city, then their country, and then the entire planet. Now the company is reaching for the stars. Breaking the fourth wall. Clapping for that. How will they do? Like all mega corporations, they are very, very solid probably, especially at the start, and we'll see how they will do in the end game. Materialist is basically very good in the late game still, so if they can have a good balanced start, they'll probably do very, very well in the end game as well. We've got the flowery Cyclops Mishar Commune. Democratic communal parity, automatic resettlement chance plus 50%, shared burden living standards under which all pops have moderate consumer goods upkeep regardless of strata, disables the use of most other living standards, increases stability plus 5 and pop demotion time minus 45%. Also Beacon of Liberty, increases monthly unity by 15% and empire size from pops is shrinking by 15%. That was buffed and is very good now. The fanatic egalitarian faction unity gain plus whopping 50% allows utopian living standards in a democratic government form. And also spiritualist can build temple buildings and cannot use full AI rights policy. Monthly unity is increased by 10%. Edicts upkeep goes down by 10%. Edict cost as well. They are traditional, so they get even more unity from jobs, and quick learners, so their leaders level up a little bit faster, so they are generally just a little bit better. They also have a prosperous unification, starting the game with an additional 4 pops and an additional 2 districts living on an ocean world. And they just have a very good overall performance, probably. They have a good start with a lot of unity, and they will keep going with quick learners and probably shared burdens, which really make a difference in the long run. We're coming to the meme-ish Space America. Very nice logo, as you can see. Darcy Williams Jr. leading the Tomb World Earth humans. And they are a theocratic republic, a democratic, with automatic resettlement chance plus 50%, which is kind of good also later on. They are, though, a police state. To quash any traces of dissent, the population in this repressive society is carefully monitored and controlled by a large internal police force, which means they get more unity from enforcers and telepaths by 1, and their meritocracy leader level cap is increased by 1, and specialist pop resource output is increased by 10%. It's a very, very useful skill in general, especially for materialists. We'll see how it plays out with these guys, because they're xenophobe, militarists and spiritualists. Xenophobes means they can enslave aliens, purge aliens. If decreased opinion, which can be a problem in the later game, cannot give aliens full citizenship, and full military service, cannot use refugees welcome species policy. They are also militarist, which is strong at the start, claim influence cost 10% less, ship fire rate 10% more. Yeah, xenophobe is also strong at the start, pop growth speed 10%, and starbase influence cost especially going down 20%. So you can claim a lot of systems fast. Spiritualist, they can build the excellent temple buildings and cannot use, though, the full AI rights policy. So they should rather not really use more than basic robots. Monthly unity plus 10%, and edicts upkeep and edict cost goes down by 10%. Just very, very strong at the start will be Space America, probably. And later on they have the automatic resettlement chance from Democratic, which is very good in the later game. They're also survivors. 2 world habitability plus 70%, leader lifespan plus 10 years, which can also help. They're adaptive, which increases their habitability by 10% more, which goes to the standard habitability of like 80% usually. Then they are nomadic. Pop growth from immigration goes up by 15%, and resettlement cost goes down by 25%, which is good for them to settle on their new founded colonies, but they cannot use the full nomadic because they will probably not have migration treaties. Then they'll be wasteful. Pop consumer goods upkeep goes up by 10%. We'll see if the AI can deal with it. They've been much improved in that aspect. So the common Space American, they're post-apocalyptic, baptized by nuclear fire. This civilization has faced total annihilation and survived. Through praying, devastated yet unbroken, they've rebuilt civilization from the ashes of the old world. Now we have something truly evil, the Zark Swarm. A Ravenous hive from Mishar, the desert world. They're better at pop growth speed, and empire size effect goes down. Cannot go robots, of course. Biological ascension path. They're a devouring swarm, so they eat others. Xenopops will always be eaten against society research from eating xenopops. Starbase influence cost goes down by a whopping 50%. Ship hull points go up 25%. Daily hull region plus 0.5%. Daily armor region plus 0.5%. Army damage plus 40%. Research speed biology plus 20%. And ship build cost minus 25%. Naval capacity plus 33%. But they cannot have diplomatic relations. They have a subspace efforts, increasing naval capacity by another 15% and sublight speed by 20%. That especially is extremely strong. When you're quick, you can pick your fights. Gestalt consciousness, of course, has less war exhaustion gain and 1 more monthly influence and 2 more encryption. Encryption and a devouring swarm makes them basically impenetrable to spying. They are, of course, hive-minded, not affected by happiness. They get even 10% more pop growth speed, which is just a crazy pop growth speed to start with. They're repugnant, so they get 20% less amenities from jobs. The amenities system has been improved, so the AI can handle that better. They're very strong, 40% more army damage, 5% more worker pop resource output, and slow learners leader experience gain minus 25%, which is not so much a problem for them. Yes, of course, governors and stuff, but their government leader, like Mikab here, of course, doesn't die ever, so that is not that much of a problem. Their ruler will gain levels and levels and levels. Prosperous unification is usually always well handled by the AI. It's the standard. They start the game with 4 pops and an additional 2 districts. They cannot take Tree of Life as a Ravenous hive. I hunger, I feed. Existence is to consume, to be consumed, to grow, to become one. Everything there is, will be one with me. I am everything. I am the universe. And it's a flip coin thing, right? If the Ravenous hive survives at the start and stays relatively strong, it can spiral out of control. But it can be pummeled at the start if it meets the wrong opponents, and if it meets opponents that already have like a defensive pact or something like that. If not, then it might spiral out of control. We'll see. The Erathi Hierocracy. Very, very nice look and logo is an oligarchic holy tribunal with 15% more faction unity gain, again helping with a new patch, starting on the relic world Erathi. They are masterful crafters, so they get more consumer goods, more trade value, and more engineering research, and every 3 industrial districts grant 1 building slot, except on habitats as well. They have an exalted priesthood. Their capital buildings replace some politician jobs with high priests. The unity from priests is increased by 1. Helps again with unity. Their egalitarian. Faction unity is increased by 25%. And specialist pop resource output by 5% as well. Cannot use autocratic government forms. Allows utopian living standards. These are really good if you can afford them. And you can maybe afford them with the masterful crafters. They are militarists. 10% less claim influence cost and 10% more fire rate. Just Militarist is very good at the start. Very, very later on, it's not that great, except for the War Doctrine, but at the start, it's top-notch. Spiritualist, monthly unity plus 10%. Edict's upkeep goes down 10%, edict cost goes down by 10%. Respecting the role of unity, maybe even overemphasizing, but we'll see. The unruly, emphasized from pops 10% more. Not bad at the start, maybe limiting in the end. But if you get a good start, then the end is set for you, right? They are natural engineers, contributing to a good end. Engineering is extremely important. Rapid breeders giving a good start, with pop growth speed plus 10%, and quick learners. It's always useful to have your leaders just a little bit better. They are remnants. Once spanned the void, so they are starting with the relic world. We do not know how long our people languished on this world. We do not even know if more of our kind remain among the stars. All we know comes from scraps of data from ancient archives buried in the ruins. Some tell of horrors, including the tyrannical Pram, the horde of soulless slave warriors, and the 3-eyed demons from beyond. Others tell of marvels, great works of art, and magitech that defied physics, created through a process called enchantment. We have long sought to rediscover the secrets of enchantment, and with the invention of the rune drive, our first magitech hyperdrive, we have succeeded. Only one question remains. Will we repeat the forgotten mistakes that led to our first fall? Very atmospheric. Come to the Birb Imperium with a very nice logo. A despotic hegemony with imperial power projection plus 1. Functional architecture. Building and district cost goes down by 15% and 1 more building slot from the start. Very useful. Merchant guilds. Capital buildings provide merchant jobs for trade and unity. They're fanatic authoritarian for more influence, so they can expand very early on with that influence, and worker pop resource output plus 10%, which gives them a kind of a boost at the start. They're materialist, allowing academic privilege living standards, which is very good if you can afford it. Cannot use AI outlawed and robotic workers outlawed policy. We'll have less robot upkeep, 10% and 5% more research speed. Working well for the later game. They are void dwellers with more pop output on habitats, starting on habitats of course, but pop output on non-artificial worlds is decreased by 15%, pop growth speed by 10% is decreased, pop happiness on non-artificial worlds is decreased by a whopping 30%. They are thrifty. Trade value from jobs goes up by 25%. Intelligent, so that will finance their early start. Intelligent, 10% more engineering, physics, society, research output from jobs. Rapid breeders, pop growth speed plus 10%, very good at the start. But they are non-adaptive. Habitability goes down by 10%, so they will have a lot of problems in non-artificial worlds. And unruly empire size from pops goes up by 10%, but that's just kicking in later. So if you have a great start, you'll probably have a great later game. But unruly can kind of slow you down in the end game. We'll see how that works out. They are void dwellers starting on 3 orbital habitats. Hydroponic farmers have 1 more food from farmer jobs, and hydroponic farms have 1 more farmer jobs, and of course members of the species thrive on habitats, produce 15% more here, and severe habitability penalties alongside a 15% production penalty on all normal planets, as we already had. Money made us happy, so make more money. An imperial money maker starting on Astra, led by Pterodac Curvus. I think it's a very balanced thing because it has intelligent and materialist for the late game, and it has a good start with the influence output, interestingly. So they can expand early on, and hopefully they will do it with merchant guilds and thrifty. They'll get a little bit more trade value to finance their early expansion. We'll see how that works out. Orbital habitat is always an extremely interesting start for an AI. And we come to the Cornarian Interplanetary Combine. They're a military dictatorship, so they're dictatorial. Empire size effect minus 10% can be very relevant in this patch in the late game. Distinguished Admiralty, ship fire rate increased by 10%, Admiral level cap by 1, and fleet command limit by 10. Very good at them in the mid-game. Nationalistic zeal, war exhaustion gain minus 20%, claim influence cost minus 15%. It's very good mostly in the mid and end game. Xenophile makes them able to find early partners, which makes them strong at the start. Increased opinion for other species, cannot use no refugee species policy, cannot enslave entire species and displace aliens. Trade value is increased by 10%, available invoice by 1. So they will have an easier time getting someone to bond with. Their militarist, claim influence cost goes down by another 10%, and ship fire rate plus 10%. So they will be very good at taking out other empires. Even early on, and especially in the mid-game when it matters. They're materialist, which kind of saves their endgame, allowing for academic privilege living standards, but cannot use AI outlawed and robotic workers outlawed policy, in decreasing robot upkeep by 10% and increasing research speed by 5%. Intelligent, increasing research from jobs, natural sociologists, even increasing their society research more. But fleeting, that is kind of balancing that out. So in the end game, you'll have longer living people from the high society research, but at the start, you'll have shorter living people. We'll see how that plays out. I often take that too with materialists. Their sedentary pop growth from immigration is a little bit less, and resettlement cost is a little bit more. We'll see how their colonies will thrive then, but they got a good starting bonus with Unity, 10% from jobs, 10% more. With Traditional, they live in a galactic doorstep, a very interesting start, a dormant gateway in their home system, potential technological benefit or a looming menace, and a potential expansion to a completely other place in the galaxy early on, which can be really, really good. Starting on Cornaria, the continental world, and are led by Pepper, the mail and have a very wholesome feeling logo. Looking like Earth. Yeah, did you recognize it? Yeah, everybody recognized it, I'm sorry. And finally we have the City Hive, a collective consciousness hive mind with more pop growth speed, 25%, Empire's effect minus 25%. I think this will help, especially in the end game with the hives. They're an aesthetic one mind hive, which helps with unity, the one mind, 50%, and the leaders are less likely to gain negative traits, which is also kind of good. They're aesthetic, which gives them even more habitability and less pop amenities usage, minus 15%, which will help the AI definitely, even though amenity management was mightily improved. They are Gestalt consciousness, war exhaustion gain goes down by 25%, monthly influence goes up by 1, encryption by 2, and of course cannot join factions and things like that. They are hive-minded, not affected by happiness, and aquatic. An aquatic hive can be very, very powerful. They transform themselves, so they have a big advantage on ocean worlds and a disadvantage on non-wet worlds, and they're doing normally on worlds continental and tropical. They have less housing usage, 10% on ocean worlds and flooded habitats, and more, 10% more food, energy and mineral output on ocean worlds. It's a really good starting bonus too. They're as well industrious, 15% more minerals from jobs, which makes a big difference combined with a aquatic trait, so they'll have a lot of minerals at the start, and they are budding, increasing their monthly organic pop assembly by each pop working as a slave or better. They're unruly, increasing the empire size from pops, kind of counteracting the hive mind bonus there, but only sacrificing the late game. The early game is more important. Fleeting, leader lifespan minus 10 years, will be set off probably by the biological ascension, which the hives have to go for. They have a tree of life, increasing a lot of bonuses. Hive means many bonuses from living on a planet with a tree of life present, or penalties, though, if it is absent. Colony ships are more expensive, but will provide new planets with their own sapling. So they have bonuses to food production and growth and all kinds of things like that. She who created us, the mother tree, asked us to expand her roots on other planets. We accepted that the mother should grow throughout all the galaxy, starting on the ocean world of Altera, probably as a submerged forest, a kelp forest maybe, led by the male Claude, a fungoid. I think they're definitely well balanced, especially the late game is great as an aquatic if you transform your worlds into ocean worlds, and it also gives you a great start, and with a great start and a great end game, the mid game is not that important probably. So I think they have a glorious future in mind for them. And things look very rosy for this planned fungoid combination of the City Hive.